one question related to the rating thing. Does anybody here think they're going to be more physically attractive in 10 years as compared to how you look now? All else being equal, does anybody here think they'll be more physically attractive in 10 years' time? Starting with you, go ahead.
No.
No.
I mean, no, objectively, probably not.
I don't know. Realistically, societally, probably not.
Okay.
I don't know, but going by the typical pattern of things, probably not.
No.
No.
I think so. I think that your 30s are your prime.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. What about, let's go 10 years forward.
Well, hang on. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. So 20 years from now, you are 21, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so are you going to be more physically attractive at 41 as compared to now at 21, all else being equal?
No, at 41 I would not be.
Okay, so you think you'll peak early 30s, basically, looks-wise.
Right, yes.
All else being equal.
Yes.
Okay. Huh, okay.
Well,
You had something, Andrew?
I did. So, do you think that attractiveness between men and women is tied to fertility? Do you think that would be a good reason for why men would find younger women to be attractive, is because younger women have high fertility?
I think that that's part of it, yes.
not in all
What-
cases.
Really? What would be the other case? Besides a fetish.
Well, that was pretty much it.
Yeah,
Real quick.
so that's like
Lack of
if you're
mental
gonna
maturity.
if you're gonna introduce like lunacy to it, like fetishes or something like this, sure. But generally speaking,
Wait, can you say the question again, like simplified again? Sorry.
yeah. So don't you think that what is considered attractive between men and women would often be tied to fertility?
I mean, there's that argument for sure, but when I ask my father about it, he tells me that he bases it on a woman's relationship with God, her spirituality, as well as her intelligence, because he needs to be able to trust that woman to raise children with him.
Well, I wish your dad was
And-
sitting where you are, because
well-
if I said the woman had all of those things, but all things being equal, you had to pick between one who was a 4 and one who was a 10, and both of them had all those same qualities, which would you pick? Your dad would say the 10.
Well, he said circumstantially. It depends on what that woman is capable of doing and what
I just said they have the exact same values, just one's
Well, then
hotter
I
than
guess
the other.
Well,
maybe.
would you pick
guess,
a
but then that's not what
20-year-old
I'm
10
talking
over your
about.
wife?
No, of course not.
Okay, why?
Because of the value distinction.
Okay, well, I think that's
Yeah,
what she's
but yeah,
pointing out.
I'm not actually-
That literally makes no sense what you just said. My question to her was, they have the same values. You say, what about the distinction of values? It makes no sense to my question. The
Okay,
values are
okay.
identical.
If the values are identical, maybe a man would prefer the one who's more attractive, who has the exact same values.
And why would they
But,
prefer the one who's more attractive?
I mean, I'm not a man that I should answer that.
Oh, okay.
All I'm saying is that.
Wait. Why would you have to be a man in order
Because
to
I don't
answer that?
Because it's circumstantial. Like I said.
It's not circumstantial. The human
Can I
race must
finish what I'm
survive,
saying?
right?
Can I finish what I'm saying, sir, please?
Well, I
What
mean,
I'm-
can you make it quick? Can you make it snappy?
Well, I could have been done
Can
if
you
you
stop
didn't
being so
interject me.
no, I
condescending?
can't. So anyway, can you make it
What
quick?
I'm saying is, like I said, I've asked my father the same questions, and what he delineates to me is that it's circumstantial based on what he's compatible with that woman, what she's capable to do with him in a relationship, in raising children, having a home, having a relationship with God, and things like that. It's not just on attraction alone, and he would take someone.
I know,
who's-
we know this, but I don't understand why you're incapable of engaging with this. You don't
I'm
have
just-
to be a man in order to engage with the idea that, of course, men are going to be attracted to women who are more fertile.
But
And on top of that, I gave you the equation of same value structure that your dad would like. Woman who's 4 has it, woman who's 10 has it. You say he'll pick the woman who's 10. I say,
I said he
great,
might
if you'll
pick
pick
the
the
one
woman who's
who's more
10, why? You go, I'm not qualified to answer that. That's crazy.
Well,
you
I'm
think-
saying that you said, okay, I said that if the attraction was 10 and 4, maybe he might pick the one who's a 10.
Why?
If they have the same values.
Why?
Because maybe he might be whatever. But
Well,
you
no,
just
not whatever.
equated
The
it to
whatever is the
fertility,
question.
and that's not what I
No.
initially
The
said.
whatever
What I
is
said
the
had nothing
question.
to do with fertility.
The whatever is the question.
Because of our biological wiring?
Right. So the question is the whatever part. Why would he be attracted to the 10 over the 4, even if they have the same values, other than because
I can't answer that for him because he doesn't answer questions like that.
Do you have
Like,
daughters?
he literally doesn't
Yes.
answer questions like that.
Do you value them and love them based on how physically beautiful they are?
No, of course not.
Why?
Because I'm looking at the value structure of the human
Okay.
being.
So, do you think God judges and values the women, his daughters, based on 1 through 10 of how they look?
No.
No. And what does it say in the Bible about
What
judging
does
a
that
woman?
have to do with what
Judging
makes a
woman.
man's dick hard, lady? What does that have to do with what makes a man's penis go up? What God values in a woman
Very
or a
close.
child, or what you value
So you're
in a
talking
woman?
about sin and lust.
No, I'm
That's what you're
talking about
gonna pretend like
physical
you didn't use my dick
attractiveness.
as well.
Okay, that's what you're talking
Okay.
about.
No, I'm talking about physical attractiveness. You do realize in order to have a baby, you have to have sex?
Yes, I know, but
Oh,
it also
great!
says
You
in
know
the
that.
Bible,
That's crazy.
and you're supposed to be Christian
Does
to judge a woman
is
based
a
on their
penis
heart.
required to be hard for
Okay.
you to have sex? Would that require an attractiveness level so that the
But-
penis can get hard to have sex to have the baby?
But
How many drinks have you had
you
tonight?
sure are
I wanna
pretty,
know.
Andrew, have
degrading
you been-
to
you've been
women.
drinking?
I don't think.
I really hope the
It's crazy.
future your
How many
future
drinks have you
son-in-law.
had, Andrew?
I really
Not
hope
enough.
your future son-in-laws
pretty-
don't treat your daughters the way you treat and think about women.
I'm pretty sure.
How do I think about
Christian
women?
Fathers
Wait,
are
wait, wait.
teaching
No,
their
no,
daughters
back up,
to be
back up.
Virtuous women of Proverbs 31.
Can you help
Like,
me
they're
out?
not
How do I
being-
think about women? By saying that there's going to be a physical metric for attractiveness, how is it that I'm in any way deviating from any type of Christian virtue? Tell me.
I mean, you
the
never.
way you're
you
talking about women the way you're talking
You're
about
talking
how
about fertility being the standpoint
a
rather
woman's
than Proverbs
value-
31.
Attractiveness,
Right?
yes.
Yeah, but
Right.
Proverbs 31 mentions a whole list of things as opposed to simply just fertility. So God says, and a man wrote that.
Strictly talking
so-
about physical attractiveness, and that's it.
But that's not what men decide. Well,
Men
at least my
shouldn't be
father
choosing
never
That
told me
is-
that that's all that he makes the decision
I'm
on when
not
he's talking about a woman.
I think what he's saying
So-
is
Oh my
that
God,
say that
this
there are
is
two
absurd.
women that both fulfill the Proverbs 31 things, but one is less physically attractive and one is more physically attractive. Which would the man go with? Say he wasn't married or
I
anything.
can't say that he'd pick
just
the 10 because I
neutrally
don't know what the
looking.
10 looks like, and I don't know what the 4 looks like. I don't know what the preference is. The 10
mean,
can be
yeah,
a
I
4
know
and a 4
physical
can be a 10.
attraction
talk to
means
someone
nothing.
ungodly like me. We're not
Physical
saying it
attraction
means
means nothing.
We're
All
not
that
saying it means
matters
nothing.
is what the virtues are. We all go get 9,000 pound. You know what I mean? It's just crazy. We're talking specifically about physical attraction. Of course, it's going to be tied to fertility. Of course, it's going to be tied to fertility. Why wouldn't it be?
You're asking me to think like a man. and I
No, I'm
don't.
not. I'm
You're
asking
me what
females
kind
are
of,
highly competitive with other women
no,
when
but
it comes
that
to
doesn't
mate
mean
selection.
that I know what a man's going to prefer mentally, and you're asking me to answer a question like a man. What one would a man prefer? How would I know that?
Do you
I'm
have
a
to
female.
compete? Do you have to compete with other females for virtuous men?
Maybe, but I'm
Yeah,
a
maybe.
female.
So how
I think like
how
a woman.
and how would you
I
compete?
only know what a man
how
wants
would you
because my
compete with
father
other
told
women?
me.
How would you compete with other women for a virtuous man?
I would ask my father what a man would want.
And
if
what do
I'm
you think your
interested in
father would say?
somebody.
Do you think your father would say, "Well, looking like shit would be the best thing you could do"?
No, that's obviously
No,
you have to take care of
obviously
yourself,
not.
But that doesn't mean that. All I'm saying is it's not like the only thing. But you can't
I'm
sit
not
here and
saying-
ask
nobody
a group
said
of
it's the
women
only thing.
how
Nobody
a
said
man
that.
thinks is the best thing. You're not gonna get that response out of them. There's a group of women, like they're not gonna be thinking
Like women don't compete with each other.
But they
How-
do not think
do you
like
think
men.
that we
Okay,
don't
but
know
what's
this?
your
to
what's
think
your
like
point?
men.
Because I agree with your argument. Okay, fertility plays a part in sexual attractiveness. Whatever. What's the point?
The whole point of this was just to state that, yes, we understand that there's virtues that men are after. Of course, that's true. There's virtues that women should be after, but nowadays it seems like less and less. But men, I think, are attracted to virtue. I think that is a big role.
Really?
But if we were to take...
Have you seen the rise of OnlyFans?
It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
But if we were to take virtue...
women.
If we were to take virtue
We're the
out...
slutty ones.
If we were to take virtue out of the equation and just look at the pure physical and just look at physical attractiveness, we're not looking at all the virtues, this and that, just whatever is aesthetically pleasing. That's all we're talking about, physical attractiveness.
I mean,
Nothing
at
more.
the end of the day, like any human being is going to value aesthetics. You're gonna choose
course.
the better looking car.
That's
The car
hilarious.
might have the same engines. It might do the same exact thing. But are you gonna choose the one that's all scratched up, or are you gonna choose the brand new shiny one? At
Right.
the end of the day, you want a pretty rock over a cracked up one. So if you're asking that, like, it's just human nature to like something.
Well, this
that's
is why
visually
I think when
pleasing.
this question is asked of women in particular, when they refuse to give a rating, it's because they don't want to be honest. And so what they do is they reframe every way that they can. But what about this quality, that quality, that quality? And it's like, look, just talking about physical attractiveness, in and of itself. I understand there's other qualities, and maybe even combining those with physical attraction may raise it a point, lower it a point, but I think people still, when it comes to physical attractiveness, it's still tied to fertility. That's why men are attracted to younger women. Why wouldn't that be the case? It makes complete sense. So I don't understand why women are incapable of rating themselves unless they just don't want to give the answer.
Because
they really
it's a
think.
matter of what do the men perceive as beautiful or attractive, and that can vary from man to man. And then like Keisha was saying, you're asking us to kind of think along
I don't
those
think women
lines.
are ignorant to this.
I think that women have a different probably standard for what they think is beautiful and
Exactly.
It's less
attractive
based on
versus
fertility
men.
and more on
Like I think that women would
Your skin,
women
your
would probably
clothing.
judge
Yeah, but you would
aesthetics,
still,
and
but
maybe
you would
men
still
might
be
judge
looking at
She would be-
fertility signs.
you would have to
woman
look at
would
the
be an
standard on
idiot
both
to
edges,
try and
right?
think like a
So for
man.
you to
Sorry.
perceive the beauty of women, there's no way for you to say that you wouldn't be influenced on how men perceive women. I don't see how
Yes,
that's.
I would be
Yeah, of course you
influenced.
would. So I don't think women are ignorant of this. I don't
Asking
think.
a
all
woman,
encompassing.
asking a woman to
There's a lot
delineate
of-
that
Not saying it's
information
all
is asking her to
encompassing.
behave like a
I'm
feminist.
just saying that
and
I think
that's not-
most women.
Right.
You're
I
asking her
think
to be
that-
a feminist right
No,
now.
I'm not asking her to be a
yes,
feminist.
because asking her to delineate the
asking
information
us
that
to
a
think
man
like
would
men.
tell a woman is asking her to be a feminist and think like a feminist. A woman is not going to
No,
assess
feminism
herself.
doesn't mean can't
A woman
think.
is not going to
That's
assess
not what it
herself
means.
the way that a man assesses a
Didn't
woman.
ask him to.
You just asked her.
No, I
how
asked
would a
her to
man-
rate herself based on what she thinks.
Okay, then.
That would be the opposite of what I'm
But you
asking her
mentioned a
what
man-
men
but
think. I'm
a
saying
man-
that men have standards.
Okay.
Yes, we know men have standards because
but they're
men
not
have
gonna-
standards. That is going to inform your opinion on
fine.
how you rate yourself
But they're not going to think of it the way that a man would. So you asking her to rate herself she's
based
gonna
on
think of
what
it-
she thinks.
Okay, herself. That's different than to what a man.
Yes,
would
I
think.
know, which is why we asked her that.
I mean, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, like at the end of the day.
Right, it is.
So you can say you're a 10, you can say you're a 1. It doesn't really matter because everybody has a different view on it. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. So the question that you're asking is, it just doesn't matter
Like-
in our minds.
Yeah, women,
one,
it does
one
not
guy
matter.
could rate a girl as a 7, and another guy could rate her as an 8, and another guy could rate her as a 2, and another guy could rate her as a 9, and it depends on what that guy finds attractive.
But wasn't it asking what we thought of ourselves?
yes.
Yes.
I mean, I think it's to
Yeah,
gauge,
but then for him to say that it's not realistic in the eyes of men. So the point
No,
is
I'm
going to
just
come
saying
back.
I
that
think
your
it's to try to
self-assessment will
show-
be informed also by men. That's the point.
And I think it also shows, are you affected by delusion?
Yes.
Yes.
To just pretend it does not exist and that, I can't
Well, no one
rate-
said
I
it
don't
didn't
know.
exist.
I don't know.
That's not the
No,
point.
but like
yeah.
when people hyper conflate their looks, well, then they would also expect to make possibly match with somebody who they think are their equivalent. But if you're honest with yourself, then you're going to match yourself and not have this hyper conflated idea of what you're going to go after.
That's understandable. I agree with
So
that.
that's why they're trying to just gauge a sense of delusion.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
But there was a mention of a man's perspective, and that's all that I said was not possible.
The mention of a man's perspective was to say how you end up ultimately determining what your value is 1 through 10. And it's arbitrary. Nobody says it's not. Is at least somewhat going to be informed and how the opposite sex perceives you and what you've witnessed the opposite sex considering to be attractive or unattractive. That's what's going to be true because that's how information in your brain works.
Internalized
learned
male
that from your
gaze,
father,
as
so.
said by someone on the right.
No, that's not an internalized.
Yeah, it is. You just argued that
No.
we look at ourselves through the male
I'm
gaze.
saying that we look at. No, I didn't.
Yes, you did. You
I
said, how do
that
you know
it
you're
can-
attractive if you don't
I
use
said
the
it
men's
can assist you in
things.
making an informed
Okay, it can
self-assessment.
assist me, so
but
it's
the
there.
same would be true the opposite way. So is that informed female gaze?
Yeah.
Okay, so
There's
then,
a female gaze too.
Okay, so then if that's the case, then we're talking about nothing. We're just talking about objective reality.
I know, but some people argue that the male gaze doesn't exist. So
Well, it depends on how you're defining
women have
it.
an internalized
If you just
man
define
inside
what
of
the
them.
male gaze
you
is
have
as,
concurred with me that women
if
have an
you're just-
internalized perception of what men think.
well,
of
it's
them.
going to help inform it. There's no way around it.
You know, earlier when you asked me what disadvantages me when I'm born a woman, that.
Okay, but
Instantaneously, I have to wake up in the morning and do my
then
makeup
why
and get pretty.
did you just say men?
Because I have an internalized
You just
man
said that
inside
men
me.
suffer from the same thing, which means that, again, you just negated your
Yeah,
own point.
but the one for men value fertility much higher than women do. Do you
So
see
what?
men doing their makeup
No,
in the
they
morning
don't.
so they look more fertile?
Women-
Yeah.
no,
women
they
do
don't.
because the internalized male gaze is way stronger than the
How
internalized
can
female
you?
gaze.
Let's prove it.
I just did.
How?
Women do makeup, women dress way nicer, women do their
And
nails.
men wear nice
women-
clothes, and they try to get high status, and they try to get tons and tons of money, and they try to do all those
but
things.
that's the female gaze is money, and there are so many.
what?
because
So
of
I
the-
don't understand how it's not
Listen
moot.
to this. Because of the feminist movement these days, women will go for ugly broke men, but men are not going for ugly women. Obviously, they're
What women are
internalized
going
male
for
gaze.
ugly broke men? What women are out there going for ugly broke men? Almost none.
The ones with no dads.
That's not what the stat like you. So you go for ugly broke men?
For real, yeah. My ex, yeah. I'm not ashamedly, but my point was, as someone on the right, you admit that women have a male gaze inside of them. They can see how men.
Yeah, what I'm
view
saying is
them,
that every
and they internalize the patriarchy,
human being,
and that internalization is already a negative effect.
What I'm
on
saying
my
is that
day-to-day
every
life.
human being who exists, regardless of where they're at in the world, if there's other human beings who are around them, it's going to inform their opinion of themselves and their opinion of the
Yeah, true.
surrounding
But one of them is the
environments.
full standards of the male gender. That's
But that would be true the opposite way too, which would make you a misandrist.
No, it is true the opposite way, but I'm
Then
saying that
you're
the
a
male
misandrist.
standards are so much higher than the female standards.
Why, prove that.
I will-
You didn't
I
that's
will
where
say-
you deviate. Where's the proof for that claim?
Okay.
I will
Oh,
say
okay,
that
maybe
a
it's
lot
fake.
of male
That's my
Well, no,
opinion.
no. Where's the proof to that claim?
I'd like
will
to hear
s-
her speak.
I will say that a lot of male standards are very looks based because the fertility importance is much higher in women, because they're the ones that are carrying a child. And so when that sort of standard lapses as they get older and everything, then it's like, okay, my value just boom. But men
Because
can
it
have,
does go boom.
No, exactly.
Yeah, and for men it
sure.
What
For
does
men,
looks
it,
have
for
to
men
do
it
with
doesn't
fertility?
because
Yeah, but it's a trade-off because in
Actual
younger
biological
ages for men,
fertility.
Oh, right, they
it's
don't have as
often,
much
yeah, they don't have
finances.
as much power
Right.
in order to attract their mate. So it's a trade-off both ways. So to say that it's more keen in one than the other, you'd have to demonstrate that to me.
it's just I think
Okay,
it's
and you have to demonstrate it to me the opposite
But
way. You
I
have
think
to
it is more
falsify it.
But
confining when it's
I
just
don't.
we're
I
both
wouldn't.
just
I,
talking
I
each
actually
other
wouldn't.
with
I
their
wouldn't
opinions.
need.
So you don't
I wouldn't
stop
need
asking
to
me for
falsify it. I would just negate it.
Do you think that men only pick women to be with or marry based on how high they are on that 1 through 10 numbering system?
No.
No, but
So
they go
then
for
why
that higher number if they could.
why is that so important in this topic?
Because I suspect that men who enter into matrimony with a woman want to have children, and in order to do that, they have to be able to perform in the bedroom, and in order to do that, they have to have some semblance of attraction to the person they're having sex with. Do you
Okay.
agree or disagree?
Well, yeah.
Well, yeah. So I don't understand why
said
you asked
some
the question.
semblance, but we're not talking about every guy isn't going to marry a 10. Every girl isn't going to marry
Most
a 10.
guys are
right?
never going to marry a 10, and most women are not 10s to marry. So
Okay, so why use that value if that's not the only thing that people are going to judge when they're choosing a life partner? Why is that so important?
we're not saying that's the only value.
Okay.
We're asking specifically only on the one criteria of the physical. We're not saying that other values don't exist. Tens of thousands of other values exist. All sorts of little nuances and niches exist for different behaviors that you're interested in. We're purely talking about
I want
physical
you to rate
attractiveness.
your wife 1 to 10 then.
Okay, as soon as you rate your husband 1 to 10.
No, rate your wife.
As soon as you rate your
went
husband.
around.
I
Hold
mean,
on.
you didn't
no,
want her to
you don't
answer
want to
questions,
answer.
and you're going to
Answer the question.
Mm-hmm.
You went around and you want all these women to rate themselves, right? So rate
Yeah.
your wife.
On pure physical attractiveness at her age, my wife is about a 6. Now rate your husband.
I would
Do it. Your turn.
I don't-
Yeah, I don't. That's
No, I
right.
told you I don't use a number.
Distinction
saying
between
rate him?
honesty and a liar,
No, are you
ladies
saying
and gentlemen.
rate him physically?
Yes,
on physical
physically
attraction?
only.
Not on my
Only
attraction to him?
physically. Yes.
That's what the rating scale is.
Do it. I just did. Do it. You can't do it.
I'm not doing
Yeah,
that.
that's
she
right.
couldn't do
You're not
it.
fucking
It's
doing it.
disrespectful.
Totally dishonest.
No.
Demands it from me, refuses to say it
you're
herself.
the one setting the standard.
My
of wanting
wife's
to
literally
ask
watching
people.
it. Guarantee she's not upset at all. But you can't answer
No,
the
'cause
question
I
honestly.
think it's a disrespectful question.
Why?
Because I think
Because it's true.
That's her own values. If she doesn't want to
Yeah.
answer, she doesn't
Right,
wanna
but
answer.
demands that the other person does.
yeah, because you're
she
the
ask you a
one
question?
saying, you're the one asking a table full of women to rate themselves.
So
Actually,
to give
it was
a
different
self.
life.
So wait a second. I'm
It was
asking
actually
a
stiffer.
table full of women to make a self-assessment based on pure physical qualities.
Right.
And you say this is an impossibility to begin with. Okay, well, granted. But then you said, fine, I'll call you out. Rate your wife. Okay, I did. Rate
Okay.
your husband. No.
No, I'm not going to rate
It's
it.
fucking pathetic.
It's not pathetic.
Yeah, it is pathetic.
I think it's disrespectful. So I would be a
Right,
hypocrite
yeah.
to then rate
You
him
are,
on
you're
a number
hypocrite.
system of 1
You're a
through
hypocrite
10.
now because you made the
No.
demand you yourself won't fulfill.
Right, because my point
Because
is
you
it's
can't.
disrespectful, and
No.
I think the fact that
Do you not
are
know-
rating your wife even with that is
You
kind of
know,
disrespectful.
why
to
is it
her.
disrespectful? Do you think? How do you think she rates herself? Maybe she rated herself this way 15 times, and I'm using her rating.
Well, I think that's sad.
Why?
Because you should probably rate her a 10. She's your
What
wife.
do you rate yourself? Because you ain't as good looking as she is, honey.
Okay,
So-
well, that's fine.
I'm just saying.
And
No,
that's
how-
your,
how do you think
that's
that's
your
helpful?
That's not
opinion.
necessary.
It is necessary.
opinion.
Well,
There's
no,
no
this
really
is
no
this is
to
exactly
anybody.
why I said like the question of rating yourself was from a
It's
man's
shallow.
perspective.
It's
A
very
woman's not going to
shallow.
answer the way that you want her to, because in the end, the conclusion that you're coming to is not what they're calculating. So it's already an unfair.
It's not unfair.
It is. It is unfair.
Then how
Because
come
you know, like,
men?
say
How
something
come
it's
men
not
can
your
make those
husband, though?
self-assessments then?
No, I'm not talking about, because what you're asking right now, the line of questioning that you're going down, that the end result is completely different to what is being discussed amongst the women that are answering. And even what you mentioned coming down to, the delusion or whatever, it's like that's not what they're even thinking about. The question is
Who's not thinking about that?
the women answering when they're like, what are you rating yourself? They're not thinking about, well, am I delusional? You just
No,
asked, what do
because
you
they
rate
are delusional,
yourself?
so of course
and
they're
they're
not
gonna,
thinking about that.
And I'm not, hey, I said 4. I could care less. But the
I
fact
am a
is,
4.
the
So if you get a
fact
6,
is-
that's going up, right? That's good.
yeah, but the fact is, what you're looking the answer for, they're clearly not thinking. And what's being displayed very clearly here is chess versus checkers. Just like I said at the beginning, the outcome that you're looking for is not what's understood in the initial questioning
What
or the
outcome
response.
am I looking for?
Well, what you mentioned about, the delusions and
No, I'm saying that's why they asked that
I
question.
understand that's why
I'm
they
not looking
asked the
for anything.
question.
I just answered the question.
No, but
I wasn't posing
it was
the
a correct.
question.
It was a correct answer. I understand that's where it was going, but I'm
Right.
saying that's not what's understood in a woman's mind when you ask, "What are you rating yourself and why?" That's not what it. That's exactly
Yeah,
what
but
I'm saying.
I don't. So this
the
is
the
this
whole
is
argument
nonsense.
is that's
That's
the
nonsense.
point. The whole argument here is nonsense.
No, it's not. What you're saying the argument is nonsense.
No, because
what?
it's-
Tell me, what could
it's completely
possibly
different.
bar you from giving a self-assessment on what you think
A
your rating is
self-assessment
for
completely
attractiveness?
different than the outcome that you're.
Yeah, I
tending
know.
towards.
That's a distinction with no merit. What's barring
Everyone
you?
gave an answer.
No, they didn't. But what's barring you from giving an assessment of your own personal attractiveness? Nothing.
Everyone gave an assessment of
No,
their
they
personal
didn't.
attractiveness,
No.
save
Who
Millie,
didn't?
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then everybody. So then that would not be everybody then.
Okay, except for Millie.
Yeah, except for the person who didn't, who
Yeah.
you said it's impossible for her to do it.
I never
even though
said
you
it's
yourself
impossible
did it.
for
Well,
her
technically, I could
I never
throw
said
out a
it's
random
impossible for
number.
her to rate herself.
I said let
I said
the
outcome you're
men
looking for at
decide.
the end of the whole line of
Let them
questioning
decide.
is not where their mind's going to go.
Mm-hmm.
So ultimately, at the end of the day, every answer is going to seem delusional. They're not looking at.
They
what
don't
you're
all
looking at.
seem delusional.
Well, a lot of the times it does, or is.
What does that
claimed
have to
be.
do with anything?
Just like I said, it's not the same line of thinking.
It is the same line of thinking.
the
I
same
don't
line of
understand.
thinking.
What's
They're
the
not answering
distinction
the same
between a
question.
man giving a self-assessment and a woman giving a
The
self-assessment?
reason is different.
What is the reason?
Well, you're talking about the fertility and the physicality or whatever, like being attractive and things like that.
The same reasoning that women would have.
Actually, that's not what was said earlier.
No. What's being said is they tried to displace the actual question and say, I'm going to go for everything except what is physical.
Women don't think like that.
No, they do think like that. One thing women
Not-
do think like
I
is
mean,
how
this whole
attractive
table
am I?
just-
Yes,
That's
they
not.
do.
That's not what I'm talking about, though. That's not.
It is
how
what
they,
you're talking about.
No, because no, that is not what I'm talking
Then what
about.
are you talking about?
That's not how they gauge attractiveness. A lot of women will gauge attractiveness based on how they feel, or what they think benefits them emotionally or mentally or whatever. It's not just physicality. Like,
Yes, but we're asking the question of pure physicality, and I don't think that women are so
Yeah, but
irrational they can't answer the
I
question
never
based
said
on
that
that.
has nothing to do with irrationality. and everybody answered, like I said, except for Millie. What I'm saying is the end result that you're looking for.
And do you think
is
you were
not the
accurate?
same.
Do you think you were accurate in your assessment?
That has nothing to do with what I'm saying.
Oh, well, it has something to do with what I'm saying. Do you think you were accurate with your
You're
assessment?
deflecting from what I'm
I'm
talking
not
about.
deflecting at
saying
all.
that
I'm
your
asking a
end
direct
result
question.
Has nothing to do
Do
with
you
the
think your
initial
assessment
question.
was accurate?
I'm not a man. I don't know how a man would rate me. You can ask your audience.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
care.
Fine.
It has
So you don't know?
I said 4. I stand by 4.
Okay.
I don't care.
Do you,
Like
do you
I
think
said.
it's accurate?
Doesn't matter if I think it's accurate or not. A man might agree.
Why
a
would
man
you
might
give a
disagree.
number if you don't think it's accurate?
That's not what I said. I said
That is what you
I said. I
said.
gave a 4. I stand by 4. I said if a man agrees, I'm not going to. I don't know if a man's going to agree or not. He might agree. He might not agree.
But you gave the
I
number,
said-
so clearly you think the number's accurate, right?
I said 4.
Do you think that's accurate? Because
I
if
said what I
you
said.
don't think it's accurate, why would you give the number?
I said.
Would
what
you
I
rather
said.
she not give
give
one
an
at
answer.
all?
I don't get it.
Oh my god.
This
Like, I
is-
don't
this
actually
is-
understand the conversation at this
no,
point.
you're
Yeah.
deflecting from the initial point here, which is that you asked a question that you know women will answer differently based on how they feel, and are going in a completely different direction in the end about something completely different that men portray in a different way.
Yeah, but the
mentally.
question becomes, is it because they're being honest or not? Or if it's
No, it
really
has a
because they're
complete-
just
it's a different
irrational
line
like
of
you're
thinking.
claiming?
It's a completely different line of thinking, and it doesn't matter if
Nobody says that they're not thinking about it along different lines, but that doesn't mean that they're still not being dishonest or they're being honest.
how are they being dishonest about what they
Because
feel?
I've seen 250-pound fat obese whales sitting right there saying they're
Is
tense.
anybody here 250
Again,
pounds?
and now you're deflecting.
No,
But
it's
that
the
just
number
goes to
of
show-
the women here right
You're
now.
not.
That just goes to
I don't
show
think he's
how
talking about you,
pointless
Renee.
the
I
question
don't think he's talking about you.
is.
I'm
Because
saying
you
I've
could
seen
say any
I've seen
number.
those women do that, and clearly they're being dishonest. And when questioned, it's obvious they're being dishonest. That's why.
Okay, but
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
basing our argument right now based on
Yes.
previous
Are you
assessments of
asking
other
them
people
You
as
mean
opposed to
how-
the women in
opinion
front
of
of you?
ourselves
Well, it's an empirical
or men's
question.
appearing?
It's an
See,
empirical
no,
question,
this is the
so-
this is the contradiction.
Tell us the
No,
problem.
but then he just
There's no
said
contradiction.
Tell us
you're
the
being
problem.
dishonest.
No, I didn't say you're being dishonest.
No, you did. You
no,
literally
no, I
said
didn't.
no.
Literally
you
never said
said
anybody's being dishonest.
a woman sitting there looking like a whale, rating herself 10, and you're saying she's being dishonest.
We through inquiry, I said
Right.
through inquiry, we discovered she was
Right.
being dishonest. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
You
What do you
understand the
mean by
distinction
through
there?
inquiry?
Like I asked a bunch of questions and she answered them and came to the conclusion she was being dishonest.
He inquired.
Okay. So she was
There
the
was-
one who
there
said,
was an
"Oh
inquiry.
no, I'm not
He
valued."
inquired.
Yeah, well, she literally said
There was an inquisition.
She said,
You could even
"Okay,
say there's an
physically,
inquisition.
yes, it's true. I'm blah, right? But emotionally, I'm a 10, or metaphysically, I'm a 10, or whatever." Yes, through inquiry,
Inquisition.
it was discovered that
That's
she was
been
not
Socrates.
being very honest. Yes.
Well, that's. I
Well,
think that men are going to be the best judges of how attractive they find women at the end of the day.
okay.
Well, we got a chat here